What is going on, my fellow comic book readers, collectors, and enthusiasts alike? I am your host, Alt, here at Control-Alt-Defeat Comics, and today I am bringing you a little bit of a different video because I figured since the first month of 2026 is nearing its end, I am going to bring you guys my 2026 reading list. These are just the books that I plan to read over the course of this year, essentially. These are my goals. This is everything that I want to try and get read that isn't single individual new comics that are coming out. This is all pretty much older backorder stuff. I've got it separated by DC, Marvel, Independent, and then non-comic related. So yes, I do want to actually read some legitimate books and novels and stuff this year, as well as comics and graphic novels and whatnot. So yeah, but without further ado, I just want to get right on into this video. But real quick before I do, I want to take the time to say thank you for everybody who has subscribed. I am at, I believe, 33 subscribers as of yesterday, and it just means the world to me. I am trying. My goal for 2026 is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of 2026. So for any of you who have watched my content, liked my content, commented on my content, or subscribed to my channel, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really means the world to me to help push me towards this goal. And it really helps to motivate me to continue to put forth content onto this channel. So just wanted to thank you again for that, and let's just get right on into this list here. So starting off on our list, we have got our 2026 reading list. We're going to start off with our DC comics, because DC is honestly probably the company that I'm the most excited to read some of their back stuff. To be completely honest with you, I've got a pretty large selection in there. The first thing on my reading list for DC for this year is going to be Geoff Johns' Green Lanterns, Volume 1, 2, and 3. I started Volume 1 last year, and it was kind of a slow burn. I'm about halfway through Volume 1 now. I've been trying to read more and more of it this year. I'm actually going to start reading more as soon as this video is over. And I want to try and get through all three of those by the end of the year. It is a storyline that I have. Most of these I have either read before and are am rereading now, or the majority of them I have watched in a video format, usually by Comics Explained or Comics Historian, and have never actually read them proper myself. So I'm trying to go through and read a lot of these stories that either I have loved from hearing them talked about by YouTubers and stuff, or that people just talk about. And Geoff Johns' Green Lantern is up there. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. I have loved every issue that I've read so far of this. Like I said, I'm about halfway through Volume 1, and I'm enjoying the crap out of it. So, yeah. Next thing on my reading list for DC for this year is going to be Watchmen, the Alan Moore graphic novel. All of these are books I either own or I'm going to pick up soon. Most of them are hardcovers. I probably could have grabbed all of them to actually showcase the book that I was talking about when I'm talking about my reading order, but number one, that would have been a large stack of books to have to pull off my bookshelf and have stacked up here somewhere, and two, it just would have taken a lot more time that I didn't know if it was really necessary, but yeah, so that's my next one I want to read. It is one that's on the top of a lot of people's recommendation lists for DC, and it is one that I have not actually read myself, so I'm very excited to do so. Next up, we've got 3 Superman books here. We've got All-Star Superman, Superman for All Seasons, and Superman Up in the Sky. These are 3 Superman books that are legitimately always on people's top 10 Superman stories. Whenever anybody makes a Superman list of any kind, these are the books that end up on the tippy top damn near every time. So I want to give them a fair read. Next, we have Batman Year One, another one that is on the top of most people's recommendation list for Batman. And Batman as a character is a character that I've always enjoyed, but I've not really read a lot of stories of. Most of my experience with Batman is from the animated series and other stuff. So, getting into Batman comics, I really want to read some of his important stories, and Year One is a really integral one. Next up is going to be another crossover style event. That's going to be Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal. These run in together. These are right up my alley. I already know the story of them, and I already know how amazing it is. I just want to actually physically read it for myself to enjoy. And then the final one on my DC reading list for 2026 is going to go to Flashpoint. Potentially the entire Geoff Johns run on The Flash, but particularly Flashpoint. Yeah, I just definitely want to get that. That's one I actually don't own yet, so I want to get a hardcover of Flashpoint, or maybe just the Geoff Johns Flash run hardcovers. But we'll see. I definitely want to read that by the end of the year, though. And that was it for my DC reading list for the year. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 total books on the DC list for the year, and a good amount of them are omnibuses, so we will see if I can actually get through all of this. This is a pretty large list. I made this list with the idea in mind that, like, I would rather have more goals that become unobtainable goals for the year than I would to have goals that I attain halfway through the year and then slack after that. So I would rather push myself through the whole year to try and reach this than not push myself as hard as I could when it comes to reading. I really just want to get more into reading and whatnot. So moving on, we are going to go to the Marvel list. And top on the Marvel list for my reading list is going to be Marvels, the Alex Ross book. I'm really excited to read this. I picked it up recently in a hardcover, and I cannot wait to crack it open. It is sitting in my bookshelf right now, just waiting for me to finish up with something else and then grab that. So yeah, that's the first one on my list. Then the next one is going to be 2015 Secret Wars. Now, this is a story I have read before, but I have not read it in its omnibus format. And I've only read it in the trade paperback and whatnot. So the omnibus obviously collects more of the actual, like, tie-in stuff from that event by Jonathan Hickman. So I want to give this omnibus a read. Also, I recently purchased the omnibus about a few months ago, so it's one that I really want to give a read just because I own it now. But I definitely want to give that one a read. Secret Wars 2015 is one of my absolute favorite stories, and that's one that I want to read before Avengers Doomsday releases this year. And yeah, so that is that one, Marvel Secret Wars 2015. Next up on the list is going to be the Venomnibus by Donny Cates. I have read through a lot of this story in singles or trades, but now that I own the Omni, I want to read the full story start to finish. Donny Cates' run on Venom was phenomenal. It's one of the best storylines. Null is one of my absolute favorite modern-day villains, and Donny Cates' King in Black storyline in particular, which is covered in this, is one of, if not my favorite crossover event to happen in the modern era. Like, definitely my favorite since Secret Wars 2015, for sure. I don't know that I think it's better than 2015 Secret Wars, but it is really close. It might be tied. It might be better, honestly, to be honest. I'm just a little bit of a Jonathan Hickman stan, as, again, you can plainly tell by my background. So it is a bit of a bias for me, personally. But yeah, that is my next one, Donny Cates' Venom. Then Annihilation Conquest. Now, this is one I don't own yet. It is on my obtain list, so I really want to pick up this this Omni, but I really do want to read through Annihilation Conquest. I've heard it's such a phenomenal story, and it has a lot of impact on the Marvel Universe as a whole going forward. So it's one that I really want to pick up and I really want to read. Next up on my list, this is one I do own, is the Marvel Zombies, the original Marvel Zombies. I do own the Marvel Zombies Omnibus, and I want to give that one a read. I've a lot of people have said that Marvel Zombies is a really good zombie story, and I want to check it out. So, I've really enjoyed the current new Marvel Zombies run that they've been doing over the past few months or so, and whatnot. So it's kind of made me very interested in checking out the older run of the story. Next up on my list is going to be 3 Ultimate books that I want to get caught up on. So these are not necessarily in collected editions, although they do have some trade paperbacks I can read. These are probably going to get read online on Marvel Unlimited, but we'll see. Maybe I'll pick up the trades. But that is Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, and Ultimate Wolverine. I am like 6 issues into Ultimate X-Men and like 3 or 4 issues into Ultimate Wolverine right now. Oh, and I also need to read through Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion as well. That's one that I actually need to add to the list here. Let's do that. Okay. But yeah, so those 4 I need to get caught up on. I'm caught up on the Ultimate Spider-Man, the Ultimates, and Ultimate Endgame, but I am not caught up on the other few things in the Ultimate Universe, so that's something I need to get caught up on. And that is going to round it off for the Marvel side of things. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 Marvel books to read through the year this year. So, let's move on then to the Independents. Now, Independents, I actually have crossed 2 of these off the list already, and those 2 are the Bug Wars trade paperback by Jason Aaron and 1 Billion Genies. And for the record, I just have to say, 1 Billion Genies was incredible. It was one of the best books I've read in a while. Its story writing is great. Its character writing is great. It has so much heart and soul and mystery and intrigue. It just leaves you wondering what's going to happen next after every single page. And I absolutely love it. It was so good. 10 out of 10, no notes. Like, if you have the chance to go pick up the deluxe hardcover of 1 Billion Genies, do yourself a favor and do it. It's like $30, I think, or $40 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it's not very expensive, and it is absolutely worth a read. So, but anyway, moving on to some things that I actually need to read. We have got The Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. This is a story that everybody has glazed, and I have just not given a chance. I'm not the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy. I've never been that big into the Turtles. Any of you who have watched some of my new Comic Book Day vlogs probably know that I'm not really the biggest Turtles guy. But this is one that I've heard is got a lot of really good story writing and character writing, so I want to give a fair shot to. Next up on the list is G.I. Joe, the Energon Universe. Now, this is one I'm fairly caught up on, but I'm not finished yet, so that's why it's rounded itself up on this list. I need to read issue 6 and up of the G.I. Joe series. I've read all of Destro, Scarlet, Duke, and Cobra Commander. I've read all of the Prelude comics, I guess you would call them, up until this, and then I have read the first 5 issues of the actual G.I. Joe series proper. I just need to get caught up on 6 through, I think 17 is out now. 16, 17, somewhere around there. Either way, yeah, I need to get caught up on that, and I really will. I will by the end of the year. That's actually one that I'm going to take to work with me and get caught up at work next week, probably. So this one will probably get crossed off the list next week. Then another one, actually, that I'm probably going to cross off of my list next week, because it's also in my book bag for work, is going to be Murder Falcon by Daniel Warren Johnson. I promised myself this year I'm going to read more Daniel Warren Johnson. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read some of his older stuff, and this is one of them. This one is the one I'm the most excited for, actually, because if you don't know, I'm a big metalhead. I love metal music and whatnot. So this story being this, metal musician helping a being sent by a force called the Heavy to defeat monsters using the power of metal. Yes, please. Absolutely. I need this in my life. I started reading it the other day, actually, but I only got like a few pages in before my job was done for the day and I had to pack up and head home. So, I definitely am excited to read this one. I can't wait to pick it up more. It's like I said, it's one that I'm going to try to finish next week. So hopefully I'll have two books to cross off of this list next week. Next up is another Daniel Warren Johnson book, and that is going to be Do a Power Bomb by Daniel Warren Johnson. This is one that I've recently picked up in the trade paperback, and I'm going to give this one a read when I finish Murder Falcon, more than likely. And then after that, we have got another Daniel Warren Johnson book, Extremity. Like I said, I really want to read some of Daniel Warren Johnson's previous works, so this is just another one that I'm excited to check out. That is it for the Daniel Warren Johnson books, and then the last book on my independent read list for the year is going to be Invincible, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the compendiums. I own the softcover compendiums. I am probably about 15 issues into the first compendium, and it's great. I love Invincible as a show on Amazon Prime, so I'm very excited to read through the comic. Everybody that I've talked to about it has said that the comic book is better than the show, and I think the show is phenomenal. So, but I do have to admit, so far, what the comic covered compared to what the show covered is really cool, really interesting, and I think I've done a little bit better than the show in terms of pacing. So, I have to give it up to that. And that was the last independent book, and that was the last comic book on my list. Now, though, I have some non-comic related books that I would like to get through as well. Starting with Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's going to be the next one on my reading list when it comes to actual physical books. I picked up a copy of this recently at a bookstore, and I'm really excited. I read this in middle school, actually, 8th grade. I read Bram Stoker's Dracula for AR Accelerated Reading Program in our state. And I picked that book because it was worth way more than what my goal for the year was. So in my first quarter of school, I got 100% on the test for Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that meant I didn't have to actually read any more AR books for the rest of the year because I'd completed my goal for the whole year with just one book. But it's an amazing read. It's so much fun, and I want to reread it. Then there's a few that I've never actually read before, like Invisible Man, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. Just some classic monster horror books that I've never actually given the chance to read before that I want to. And then the last book on my reading list I've been putting off just because I know the book is going to make me cry. Ozzy Osbourne's Last Rites. It was a book that released after he passed away that he was working on during the final times of his life, and it documents his struggles throughout that time period, and just in general talks about his life and the things that he's done and the things that he, it's a story that I am excited to read, but I know is gonna break me because I was such a big Ozzy Osbourne fan, and losing him was such a huge hit last year. And it's taken me a lot to really get over that loss. People say that musicians, you don't know them, so you shouldn't be attached to them. But like these, especially for somebody like me who music has really affected and changed your life, music touches your soul. And these musicians, they have affected us in ways that, while we may have never met in person, have been more impactful to me than thousands of people I've actually met in person have ever been. And Ozzy was a huge influence on my life. So losing him was hard, and trying to read through this book is going to be rather hard as well, but I need to do it. And I'm going to by the end of the year. But that is going to be it for my 2026 reading list. This is kind of a fluid list. It may change a little bit over the course of the year. I may add some books to it as I either obtain new omnis or in general just learn about new series that I may not have learned about before, or I hear more and more about. Actually, another one that I want to talk about that I might add to this list is I think it's Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run, the Swamp Thing run that everybody touts as being like the thing that changed Swamp Thing for the better, that I actually talked about in my top 10 best retcons that did work. That is a story that I've never actually read myself. I've only heard about through other people. Through other people reviewing the series or talking about the series or talking about the way that that series impacted Swamp Thing as a character going forward. So it is one of those situations where I want to read it, and it'll probably get added onto this list. But regardless, that is going to bring it to the end of this video. If at any point you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, or subscribe. Any kind of feedback or conversation you can leave on this channel is always greatly appreciated. If there were any comics that you are really interested in reading that you've never read yourself, or if there's anything that you think I desperately need to add to my reading list that I don't have on there, please let me know down in the comments down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about comics. Comic books are my passion, and if you're watching this channel, I imagine they are yours as well. And with that being said, I just want to thank you again for checking out this channel. I will see you shortly in my next video. Have yourself a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.